Bobby, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Doug. Back to living out of hotels.
Looks like you got a nice big ballroom and studio there. That's pretty cool.
Not bad.
I guess, we just got the release on the 20 guys in camp, and I don't think it's a big surprise that Terrence Davis is there with you, but can you bring us up to speed on the process of his investigation with the NBA and whether you considered an administrative leave kind of thing situation for him until his charges were dealt with or the league's investigation was over?
Yeah, thanks for everyone coming on. So first for you, Doug, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say complicated situation, but there's kind of a number of things going on. So the NBA domestic violence policy, as most of you know, is doing their own investigation. That policy does govern his punishment or suspension or what may come of it. The administrative leave part, as I understand it, can only be done by the NBA. So it's a bit where I think we need to be respectful of the process here. We've obviously had our conversations with Terrence, done as much due diligence as we can on the situation. But at this point, it's a matter between the NBA and the union. I think sometimes that may feel a bit unsatisfying, but I think that we need to be respectful of that process as well.
Thanks very much. Just one quick follow-up. You've had a rather tumultuous summer. You lost two veteran big men and replaced them with a guy you had and two others. How would you categorize your foray through free agency as a franchise this year?
Well, yeah, I think from the jump, we took care of Fred, which I think was, as we had stated, was our top priority. I think in a different world, we would have kept the two bigs, but I do think, it was an incredible luxury to have those two, and we thank them for obviously everything they accomplished. They were huge parts of winning the championship here. But I do think, we're really excited with Aaron. We've he's as accomplished, not only in the NBA, but internationally as well. And it creates a great opportunity for Chris Boucher to step into a more consistent role that I think we've all seen him show at times. But now we'll really get to see if, how he does in.
I didn't realize
nightly
to allow recording.
Great. Thanks very much, Bobby, and whoever else just jumped in there. Appreciate it.
Next question is going to go to Mike Ganter from the Toronto Sun.
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
What's up, Mike?
Same old. Just curious, you're the only one of 30 teams playing out of your own market this year, obviously at a big expense to your own franchise. Has the league, do you have to incur all that expense on your own, or has the league jumped in? Are you getting any help?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something we're going through with the league now. As you all may know, there is a discretionary fund that the NBA has. I think, as I understand it, last time it was invoked for something like this was Hurricane Katrina when New Orleans went to Oklahoma City. So teams and organizations from time to time, look to that funding as well. We're also respectful of, the world kind of COVID pandemic that's going on. So it's kind of doubly bad for finances, on all sides, but it's something we're looking into. And, it's a huge strain on us as an organization, but I think, as you all know, when faced with different challenges or obstacles, we thrive and we like it. And so we're looking at it much more from a really, unique experience for our team, for our staff. Most of us came from, Disney, where we had a similar situation. So it's not altogether, foreign for us, but I do think we're viewing it as, for lack of a better experience, we are here in a nice sunny Florida with no state income tax.
I gotcha. And going back to Orlando, what lessons do you take from there that can apply here?
Yeah, I think you really understand the meaning of being part of a team and relying on each other, not only for, playing the games and getting to the arenas, but now it's, our collective health, our collective well-being. And so I think that sense of belonging and unity is really important, for a time like this where everyone feels like we have each other's back, and we're all looking out for, the greater good.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bobby.
Going next to Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Thanks for doing this, Bobby. I know it's very early in the process, but has there been something as guys have kind of engineered this move down to Tampa that has struck you as a little more difficult, a logistical element that kind of caught you a bit off guard, or that there's something along those lines that maybe we don't appreciate other than, a bunch of stuff being thrown in a moving truck?
Yeah, fun one, and we had the benefit of doing this in Disney, but for those of you who've been to OVO, it's kind of recreating that practice facility someplace, and so seeing it done, the NBA do it down in Disney, in a ballroom, in a kind of convention center space, really gave us the idea to do it, but then to actually construct it ourselves is what we're doing here. And as you can imagine, world-class basketball court, a world-class training room, a world-class weight room. There's challenges in doing that in the equipment, but essentially the idea here was to create a world-class practice facility in a place where there isn't one. So that's been fun and challenging all the same for us.
All in the space of 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And then, when you look at your roster, what are you most curious about as camp begins and moving not too long into exhibition play? What's unknown that you're looking to see some answers about?
Yeah, you said it. Going into every camp, there's a bunch of known, and so we have a lot of familiar faces with guys returning from last year in significant roles. I think the obvious one is at the center position with Aaron and Chris and Alex as well. So I wouldn't say it's an unknown, but we'll just see how they fit. I think there's we go through this every year, but I think that's what we're watching. And then the young guys, having the 2 draft picks and having a first-round pick for the first time in a few years, Malachi, but also Jalen Harris, who we took in the 2nd round. So there's excitement, and there's a newness to that we haven't felt in a while, and so we're excited.
Appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you.
Going to go next to Josh Lewenberg from TSN.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Josh.
I'm wondering what the health and safety protocols have been like in Tampa so far, and sort of following up on what some of the other guys were asking, how much have they compared to what you guys were following in the bubble, and how different are they?
Yeah, I think, the NBA said it, in various different outlets, but one of the bedrocks of the policy is the daily testing. And so that, started up in advance of coming down here, and it'll continue while we're here. And I think, as most people know, you're not going to, prevent people from contracting the virus with the testing, but you are able to contain the spread. And so I think the daily testing is something that, we all went through. We'll do it every morning, which is similar to Orlando. But, we are out interacting. We are in a, major city with, exposure risks, which is different. But I think that's just, as we all are learning to live with, how do you go get a coffee? How do you go to the grocery store? How do you do different things where, you're trying to have some sort of, normalcy, but really reducing the risk to yourself and ultimately reducing risk to the entire team.
Internal growth has been something that you guys have had success with over the last few years, and obviously that's something that you're relying on to some degree again this year. Normally, so much of that development for the young guys happens during the summer. For guys specifically like Pascal and OG, or who are in such crucial parts of their career, do you get the sense from speaking with them or seeing them during the abbreviated off season that they've had enough time to maybe add those things to their game that they would have had during a normal off season?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a different challenge. I think, thinking back, it was about 3 months. I think probably what got shortened a bit was that typical postseason rest period where guys can, just take time off, both mentally and physically. But as everyone started to get a sense of the timeline, I think everybody ramped it back up pretty quickly. So I'm not as concerned from that, but I think that shortened recovery, we'll see. And as the schedule comes out here, we'll have to, just be mindful of that with, travel back-to-backs and whatnot. But I think you touched on first with the internal growth. It's you guys those of you who have followed us, it's a huge part of how we built this team. dating back to our first couple of years here and giving people opportunity, whether it's going from the third team to the second team or the second team to the first team. And I think that's, we got back to a little bit of that this offseason.
Thanks, Bobby.
Going next to Eric Kareen from the Athletics. Or Athletic.
Hey, Bobby, good afternoon. You want to update us on your extension talks, such as they are?
Yeah, no update at this time. I think as we've said, a few times here, we'll let everybody know when there is an update.
Can you just, are there discussions at all, or has that sort of been shelved for the time being?
No, there have been ongoing discussions for a while. And when we have an update, we'll let everyone know.
When Serge and Mark made their decisions, obviously there were still a number of players available on the center market. What specifically about Aaron and Alex did you jumped out to you guys as potential fits?
Yeah, so obviously, like most of the people we've brought in, we've been following for a while, and so it's thinking back to watching Aaron in Washington State, he had a bit of a not necessarily a linear arrival to the NBA, but I remember watching him pretty closely in the 2014 World Championships. I was actually out watching Jonas, and just his toughness, his physicality, but I think it's just continual improvement that we've seen, whether it's started out in San Antonio when he won the title. He's bounced around a bit, obviously seeing him in Boston for a couple of years when we played them a lot. But really it's just, his ability to continue to get better, physicality, toughness, wants to win, plays the right way. I think that's something we've eyed for a while. And Alex to in a different sense, we followed him at Maryland, really high draft pick. I think for him, we felt like putting him in a situation here with our development program, may look and feel a little different than a few of the places he's been. And as a result, hopefully he can maximize his, enormous talent with us. So those are a couple of the backstories. And then with Chris, obviously we know, and we've been around him and we followed him a bunch. So I think between those three, we think that as uncertain as we are how it will shake out at the end, I think we're confident that those three can cover it.
I'm just going to squeeze one quick one. Do you have any sense of how many staff members and players are bringing their family, especially kids, school-aged kids, down to Tampa?
I wish I knew. We're all in kind of a bit of a no man's land as we decide. I think we all wanted to come down here and see what the setup is, and even myself included. I have a family and 2 young kids, so see what the setup is here, what our comfort level is. Obviously, finding housing or living in a hotel is different than living in a place that you have a routine. So I'm sure over the course of the next few days or weeks, we'll have a better sense of that.
Thanks, Bobby. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Next question goes to Steve Simmons from the Toronto Sun. Steve, are you there?
I am here if you can hear me.
Yep, we hear you.
Bobby, considering the advocacy of social issues with the Raptors, why did you bring Terrence Davis back? And are you worried about looking like a hypocrite for doing so?
Hey, Steve, we've spoken at length with Terrence, multiple people in our organization. Obviously, we wouldn't make the decision if we weren't comfortable with the information that we had. Obviously, it doesn't preclude us from having new information come out in the future for us to make a decision. But, we felt we were thorough on our end.
And you're not worried that you're saying on one hand that we're in favor of women's issues, and on the other hand, we're talking domestic abuse here?
I understand it. It's where we take this incredibly serious. There's no basketball issue that would ever, prevent us from doing anything. But, we also have to go with our relationship and our understanding of the conversations and what happened. So.
Next question is going to go to Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press.
Hi, Bobby. Welcome to Florida. You you mentioned that you were looking for a coffee shop. The only good place by the arena is a place called Victory Coffee. So keep that one in mind. I wanted to ask you about, I know it's still very, very early in this relocation, this temporary relocation, but you're going to be in a new building. And in the bubble, yes, they played, they had nuances of home. There was the Raptors logos and signage, and it sounded like home when they were introducing the starters and all of that. What further steps can you take to sort of develop some sense of home court advantage in Tampa, knowing that 29 other teams, whether they have fans in the building or not, they will have that little bit of a home court edge that the Raptors in theory wouldn't have? How can you kind of manipulate that a little bit and sort of make it seem like something?
Yeah, as most of us know, our guys are creatures of habit, and so I think creating that routine. We're staying in a hotel that's directly across the street from the arena. They can walk to the games, they can walk to practice. So I think having that, taking away a bunch of the uncertainty about getting to the game, pre-game routines, that's all I think built into what home court advantage is. As far as having fans, I don't know if we've decided yet, and we'll obviously let everyone know where we finalize that. But I do think, it's a city that doesn't have an NBA team. So, to the extent that they want to adopt us as their team, that'd be great. And I do hear there are a number of Canadians that live down here in the winter. So I'm sure we can convince a few of those to get out as well.
There are more than a few. Yes, there are a few here. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Bobby, was that there's already been a number of coaches today. Doc Rivers said, he doesn't know how we're going to get through this season. Scott Brooks said they've already had a player who isn't in PC test positive. There's going to be problems this year. We're not in a bubble. Issues are going to come up. What is your level of concern about not just the Raptors' ability, but the league's ability to just kind of roll with the punches that are going to have to come this season? Thanks again.
Yeah, I don't have a level of concern. I think that, we're all doing the best we can. We're following the protocols, and I think it's a tough world to live in if that's constantly on your mind. And so I think our approach has always been to push forward, to have a successful season, to make it to the playoffs, to contend for the championship, to win a championship. And so there'll be hurdles along the way, whether it's a COVID world or a non-COVID world. So I wouldn't say that occupies too much of our headspace.
All right, we're going to do 3 more questions for you, Bobby. First one's going to Eduardo Encina from the Tampa Bay Times.
Hi, Bobby. Thanks for doing this. Welcome to Tampa. I guess I was wondering, what kind of things were you looking at in trying to choose a place to hold training camp, and what stood out about St. Lou, and what made it kind of the right fit, and what kind of came together there with that?
Yeah, I think that's important, is that, we chose Tampa. We wanted to come here. And so it wasn't a situation where we were, directed here. But I think the things that you can imagine. So obviously arena, we needed to have arena that, could handle NBA games. We wanted to have a practice facility. We wanted to have medical facilities. We wanted to have, living situations that were comfortable for everybody. So I think those are at the top of the list. And so having Amelie here, having, the convention center, having the 2 hotels downtown here on Water Street were really big draws for us as far as the flow and how a day-to-day would work for practice and for games. And then on top of it, we are coming from Toronto, where I believe it's snowing. So having, the sunshine, having some vitamin D, I think is just a boost for not only the players, but for the staff who are also making a huge sacrifice to come here. So a lot of those things together, I think, combined. But first and foremost, it was the facility, the medical, the health and safety of the players and the staff.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Kyle Berger from ABC Tampa.
Hi, Bobby. Welcome to Tampa. Ed kind of took part of my question there. I was going to ask you, but I'll piggyback with this. You guys have the We the North slogan. A lot of fans down here already hopping on the Raptors bandwagon with We the South t-shirts. What do you think about the slogan We the South?
We love it. We saw some of that as soon as we announced, and we're ready to dive into this community. So anything that you guys recommendations, like I already got a coffee shop, so we're excited to be here, and we look forward to developing a relationship with Tampa.
Thank you.
Final question is going to go to Yoko Miyagi from Sports Graphic Number in Japan.
Hello. Yeah, I was told that your family is originally from Japan, and what's your connection to Japan? Also, that how Yuta Watanabe is going to be joining you at training camp. What's the factors? What are the factors that you invited him to the training camp?
Yeah, so my mom's family is originally from Japan. They immigrated to Hawaii around 1900, so they've been in Hawaii for a number of years. But definitely a huge part of who I am is my Japanese heritage. And then with Yuta, obviously fortuitously, he's also of Japanese heritage. But no, we followed Yuta for a while when he, his 4-year career at George Washington, Defensive Player of the Year. He's someone that we liked coming out of college. So that, the 2 years in Memphis, we continued to scout him and follow him. And then this summer, we were able to take a look at him out in LA. And so obviously, have high expectations for him. He comes in, here to compete for a roster spot, to compete for an NBA job with the Toronto Raptors. And we're excited and really hope he makes the team.
Just to follow up, I'm sorry if you are asked about this, but are you going to have a G League team today this season?
Yes, we are planning to have one. The G League, I think, I don't know if they've officially announced what they're going to do, but we fully intend to have a G League team, yes.